Jonah Blank is a political scientist and author of a book on modern Islam. He joins me now with some perspective on what's going on in Belgium, France, and as we just said, the Secretary of State, State Department issuing this terror threat about travel. Hollande, though, seems to be taking the lead. The meeting with Cameron, now coming to Washington, D.C. Do you see his political initiative, if you will, creating any fruits as a result?
Well, we'll find out when Parliament votes. He has clearly brought David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, on board for part of this coalition against ISIL or Daesh. However, last time that Cameron tried to persuade the British public to have an attack on Daesh or on Assad in Syria, Parliament voted against him. In this case, he's going to be hoping that he has prepared the groundwork more successfully.
What about, we know the climate summit's coming up. We just saw this attack there. We saw an attack in Mali. All of these world leaders coming to France and Paris. Any vulnerability there? Is it going to be safe? What do you see in terms of security? It's got to be out of this world, I would think.
Yes, definitely. France has been stepping up its security to an unprecedented level, and Belgium has been doing the same, because Belgium is within an easy striking range of Paris and has been the epicenter for a lot of the plotting. So it will be a set of soft targets and a set of hard targets that will present a tempting target for ISIL, but the French are very well aware of this and have been preparing tough.
You know, what's interesting, I was going to ask you about the global terror fight changing because of France out there in the lead, but you're suggesting, we had a chance to chat just a little bit, but we should maybe look at it the reversal, that perhaps they're not making the gains in Syria or Iraq, and now they're taking the fight elsewhere.
You're right, Mike. In Syria and in Iraq, Daesh has actually been losing ground. So in a sense, the military campaign has been working very, very slowly. The bad news is, as they lose ground in Syria, they're under greater pressure to show that they really are an expanding force. Where do they expand? Through terrorism to Europe, and they've said that they want to move to the US and to Asia as well.
What about the dynamics of cash? I mean, you think of them looting these banks in Iraq, but that's a one-time withdrawal. I mean, you can't do that over and over again. Oil at the time that all of this was created was going through the roof. Now the prices are dropping. What about that piece of this? It seems as though the money squeeze should be there on ISIS, if nothing else.
That's true, except that the oil is still bringing in a lot of money, over $1 million a day by a lot of accounts. So yes, $50 a barrel oil is half as much as a $100 barrel of oil, but when you're a terrorist group, that's a lot of money, and ISIL is the richest terrorist group the world has ever seen.
Belgium, just basically on lockdown. The search continues for this suspect. Give me your thoughts on that and their role in all of this.
Well, Belgium has been the weak link in Europe, or one of the weak links, up until the Paris attack. Belgium had been not really equipped to have the kind of internal security that a lot of other states have. It's part of the Schengen zone, which means that you can travel freely anywhere in Europe from Belgium and often not even have to show a passport. It has been the largest percentage supplier of foreign fighters to Syria of any nation in Europe. And the Belgian public have been somewhat removed. They've felt that because Belgium doesn't have a colonial legacy in the Middle East, as they do in Africa, that they would not really be hit by ISIL and would not really have to concern themselves with attacks abroad. I think we can safely say that all of these illusions and perhaps missteps are going to be hopefully redressed in the future.
Quickly, because we're out of time, but the ASEAN meetings just ended. The ASEAN leaders also coming out, talking about, expressing their condolences to France, also talking about fighting this. What role do you see in China in this global fight?
Well, as you know, President Xi has declared war on Daesh after 4 Chinese citizens were killed just in the past week. So I think China is definitely concerned. The nations of ASEAN, several of them, Malaysia and Indonesia, have actually seen a lot of their citizens going and fighting. They're afraid of them coming back. So I think we're going to see all of the nations of this region really taking a good close look at what they can do.